Imagine yourself. You saved all this money, made all these sacrifices, and you reward you and your family with the gift of a brand new home. You made it. You wait an entire year for this. You finally get the keys, you move in, brand new furniture, you're so excited. Next morning you wake up, you go in the basement and you put your feet in water. And now you notice water's coming through the basement walls in multiple locations. In panic, you go and you talk to the builder. They open up the walls and you notice there's water and mold everywhere. Let me show you one. I'm on one of those houses who also had water problem in their basement. I'm with one of the owner here today. When did you guys roughly move in here?
We moved in here on the 23rd. We had the keys to a place a little bit, like about a week earlier, and then we actually did our move-in on the 23rd.
Of November 2024.
Yeah.
Okay, and then about roughly a week later, you realized you had a little bit of moisture in the basement?
Yes, yeah, a week later.
So it's basically, this is the front of the house right here, but something you don't see, it keeps going all the way around the corner right there. This also had all wetness problem as well. There was water coming down at the bottom there, right?
Yes, this whole entire west wall was wet.
And then, so when that happened, I'm guessing you called the builder right away and you said, hey, we're having some water issue down here.
Yeah, I basically emailed them. It was on a Sunday, so they weren't... So I emailed them knowing that they likely wouldn't respond.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, this is kind of an emergency because we're noticing.
Yeah.
Because like I came down once, there was one leak, and then I noticed another one, and then the next morning I noticed more coming.
Okay. So then they came in and then they took some drywall off.
Yeah.
And then what did they tell you at this point?
Pretty much the moment they came in, they started to say it was condensation. Okay. And then they said that that there's an easy fix for it. It's definitely not a foundation issue, and that the problem is that the city of Maple Ridge is wanting things to be over-insulated.
Okay. So what was that easy solution?
They didn't. I don't think he mentioned it at the time, but I think the one that keeps coming up is putting vent holes.
Like they've done in other units already.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the idea with the venting was to either add a little bit of airflow back there, hoping that it would dry off that sweaty concrete.
Yes.
And then they've discovered a little bit of mold as well at the same time. When that happened, did they tell you anything about this?
He basically just said that there's mold on the east wall that he noticed, and then that I should push to have fix it.
Okay. And then has anybody come and do anything here?
No, pretty much as soon as that was over, I haven't heard anything from them, even in terms of just concern of wondering how we're doing. The messaging has completely stopped.
Okay. Then you think to yourself, I can't be that unlucky. And you talk to some of your neighbors and you realize that it's everywhere. There's dozens and dozens of houses, homeowners, who's been fighting with the builders to fix their basement. Water's coming in, mold is growing, and all they're doing is coming up with excuses and coming up with cheap fixes. You don't know what to do. Let me show you another one. This is one of the house of many that seems to have problem with their basement. How about you tell us a little bit about when did you move in here roughly?
We moved in here April of 2023 was when we took possession.
Okay, so it's been a year and 3-4 months basically, almost a year and a half.
Yeah.
Right? And then so when did you first realize you had a problem here?
It was roughly November, right before Christmas. So we noticed that we had water coming through. This was all drywalled off. There was water coming through and pooling all the way down the concrete. So we contacted, and they basically came in, took the drywall down, air dried it with like fans.
Yeah.
And they were told after WBI, the insurance company, came in as well, and they all basically said that it was concrete sweating. And they took off the drywall everywhere, all the insulation, dried it out, and then put in vent holes throughout every single room down here. So we probably had about 6 vent holes, and then one large one in here.
Okay. And then with the vent holes, I guess the idea was to allow some type of airflow inside this wall to potentially dry this off.
Yeah, so it was technically wet all the way down and down into this half as well. They said that there was not enough airflow behind the drywall because of the insulation. So initially they wanted us to take all the insulation out to give more airflow. So we said no. And they came to the resolution of the vent holes to get more airflow.
So, and that is 1 year ago.
Yeah.
Now, last November,
Yeah.
once again, you see water coming in.
Yeah, roughly the same time of year in November, after a big flash flood that happened. Or maybe it was late October, but same thing, the water was pooling down in the corner. The insulation was wet. The entirety of the house went higher this time. It was way more wet. We were wringing out the insulation.
So they reopened the walls. These were open ones, closed up, reopened again last month, roughly, right?
Yeah, next week.
So the venting, that didn't work out.
It did not work at all.
Now, I see there's a little bit of mold here and there, especially behind the insulation. Did they tell you anything about this? Would they do anything about that? Or did they ever acknowledge it?
When they first came in, after I'd called them, I asked them about the mold, and that's why I wanted them to open it all up so it could dry. And I was basically told that the mold would not grow in here, and if it was to grow, it would take a long time. So they weren't going to open it up without talking to the insurance company first, and then inevitably it's grown.
Then, not knowing what to do, you reach out to Inspect Canada. We come on site and we realize a whole bunch of stuff. First of all, there is no dimple membrane on this foundation. Then the damp roofing is below ground. This is not helping whatsoever. Then the 4 inches of styrofoam that was supposed to be installed on every concrete exterior walls is nowhere to be found. And then this whole water problem, very often the drains are supposed to take care of that. After scanning the drains, these drains never saw any water in them in the last year. The first thing you want to do is to get in touch. Let's see if we can actually help you. But if we can, the goal is to work with the builder. So we'll have to collect evidence and provide you with a full report so you can bring it up to the builder. But if worse comes to worse, we can help you with that too.